This video is for Nova Online Math 161 and we're looking at solving rational inequality graphically, and this is from section 2.6. The graph of y equals f of x is given. Solve the inequality. F of x is less than 0. So what are they asking us to read here or find here? So when they said f of x is less than 0, we're looking for part of the graph that is below 0, or that is below the x-axis. So what part of this graph over here is below the x-axis? That's what they are asking you to find, okay? And look at the symbol. They're looking for strictly less than 0. They're not looking for less than or equal to 0. So if it is on the x-axis, we can't count that because they don't have a bar underneath this less than or equal to sign, okay? They're just saying strictly less than 0. So this, in English, is what part of f is below the x-axis, because the symbol is less than 0. So, I got a whole graph right here, but, I'm going to try to, let me get a little piece of Post-it, okay? I'm going to get a Post-it and cover up the top of this x-axis, okay? So I don't need to look at the top of the x-axis. I just need to look at the bottom of the x-axis, the below part. So this is the x-axis right there, right? And this part is where the graph is below the x-axis. Now, all we need to do is read the interval for this. Now, where is this starting? What's the far left bound of this red piece of graph? Notice that this graph is bounded by the x-intercept of 1, 2. This looks like 2 right there, right? But it will never be able to touch the vertical asymptote at 2. So we're going to say this will start from parenthesis 2, not the bracket. And notice that this graph touches the x-axis at 5, right? But they did say they strictly want the part below the x-axis, not on the x-axis. So we will say 5 and draw a parenthesis after it. And that's the answer. Now, I'm going to try to make up another one for you. What if they asked, where is f of x less than or equal to 0? Now, how would you write the answer for that? It will be parenthesis 2, but because if the symbol says less than or equal to, it can be on the x-axis. So I would just change the symbol after 5 to a square bracket, okay? But when it says just strictly less than 0, you only need to read the part that is below the x-axis, not on the x-axis. So the answer for this problem will be 2, 5, okay? I'll get rid of this Post-it. So I literally just covered up the top part of the x-axis because this question, we only had to read how much is below the x-axis, and that was this part right there. I have another picture, okay? So let's try another one. This time, they want us to find where f of x is greater than or equal to 0. So they're asking for what part is above or on the x-axis. That's what they're asking here, because greater than means it's going to be above it, but that bar of equal to means it can be on the x-axis. So let's read all the interval that the graph is sticking above the x-axis. Oh, not a problem here. Notice that the x-axis is, all right, you know what, let me do that Post-it strategy again. Let me get a little Post-it and cover up everything below the x-axis because we only want to read above the x-axis. So when I cover up the below the x-axis with the Post-it, do I have any graph above the x-axis or on the x-axis? We don't, right? So, and look, this function has a horizontal asymptote to the right and the left extreme. So that means the graph will get infinitely close. They will get really close to this horizontal asymptote at y equals 0, but they will never touch it. they will never cross it to the right or the left end. And it didn't really touch it in the middle, right? So what are we going to say for this? Any part of this graph sticking above or on the x-axis? No. So we're going to have to say, well, no solution. This inequality has no solution because there's no interval that is above or on the x-axis. So when you are solving inequalities graphically, we need to make sure that we understand what these symbols mean. If you have less than 0, they want below the x-axis. If they want greater than or equal to 0, well, that's above or on the x-axis.